Yes, the world went not only mad but bad at the Grammys this week, the award show that is supposed to be all about the best in music, but of course turned out to be just another Trump-bashing woke fest. Once upon a time, the Grammys were cool and hip, but this year was quite literally a clown show, both on and off the red carpet. We're used to pop stars dressing in silly clothes, but this particular outfit by Heidi Klum took it to new levels of idiocy.
Hi, Heidi.
Just as half-witted were these opening comments by host Trevor Noah, falsely suggesting Donald Trump visited Jeffrey Epstein's island.
That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton, so...
Well, Donald Trump is now threatening to sue Trevor Noah big time, so he will almost certainly come to regret those idiotic comments. A high price to pay for a smattering of meaningless lefty applause. But even worse than that, in my humble opinion, was the woeful music. This miserable tuneless dirge about Wild Flowers by Billie Eilish, more about her in a second, won Song of the Year.
I'd never ask who was better, 'cause she couldn't be.
And the record of the year, I'm not quite sure what the distinction there is, went to another dirge about flowers.
Come and put that on my soul.
Sounds exactly the same to me. But anyway, as 1980s Grammy nominee Frank Stallone, yes, Sylvester's brother, lamented, "Where were all the rock stars?"
I have to admit, last night was the worst Grammys I've ever seen. When I was nominated in '83, it was a real industry type thing. I mean, I was there, Prince was there, The Police, Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, and some other great acts. Maybe I'm getting old. I didn't know any of these acts. I don't know any of their music. Lamar, whatever his name is, how many, 6 Grammys?
Join the club. Cher, remember her, a former Grammy winner? Cher got a bit confused with the auto-cue and announced the winner as Luther Vandross, an artist who's been dead for 2 decades.
Oh, the Grammy goes to Luther Vandross!
An understandable mistake, of course, because the winning song sampled one of Vandross's hits. Nothing is original these days. Drives me mad. But what was truly lamentable about this horror show was the fact that despite all the virtue signalling to a vast global audience, these sanctimonious, pampered elites did not devote or dedicate a single moment to the hundreds of thousands of Iranians risking their lives for freedom and the thousands of brave young protesters, many of them women, fed up with Islamist oppression, who have been murdered by the Ayatollahs just these past few weeks.
If conservatives and moderates were allowed to voice their viewpoints at award shows like the Grammys, you would have heard something about Iran and the 30,000 plus people who have been eliminated by the Islamic regime this year. This is the largest act of state violence since the Holocaust, and there was no mention made at the Grammys. What you did hear about was ICE over and over and over again.
Yes, ICE, not of the vanilla variety, but Trump's immigration and customs enforcement laws. They were the sole focus of lefty outrage, all their little badges. Here's the aforementioned Billie Eilish attacking Donald Trump's administration's deportation policy.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Proving why singers should stick to writing lyrics where ice rhymes with nice and June rhymes with spoon, Billie's double woke Grammy whammy rapidly became the subject of much online mirth and mockery.
Oh, look, another gated community pop star with a $14 million mansion has some deep intellectual insights to share with us plebes.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
I'm sure people without proper ID were let into the award show since it was on
Stolen land.
Indeed, before you could say Billy Airhead, the New York Post, along with many others, were suggesting that this privileged pop princess hand over her multi-million-dollar real estate assets sitting squarely on so-called stolen Native American land. In her case, that of the Tavonga tribe. Even here in Australia, online provocateur Drew Pavlou hopped on a plane to California to help relieve Billy of her burdensome stolen property empire.
Big news, everybody. I've decided today to move into Billie Eilish's $6 million Malibu beachside mansion. She announced today at the Grammys that no human being is illegal on stolen land.
But when it comes to stolen land, this young TikToker said it best.
The whole nobody is illegal on stolen land argument is bullshit. First of all, not one single place, not one single city, country, anything on this earth is owned by its original owners. Second of all, the part of Mexico that is now the US was bought. Third of all, the Native American land that was stolen was conquered, which is kind of just how the world worked at the time. And by the way, Native American tribes conquered land from each other. So I don't see you talking to other Native Americans saying, oh, you should give your land back to that tribe.
She's smarter than so many others. The AI mob, of course, had a field day as well.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Oh my God, she's so brave.
And fans even used AI to make the speech look like something out of South Park.
Like, no one's illegal on stolen land, so we should just defense the whole country. Except my mansion, but everything else is free.
Other online comedians have gone to town on the hypocrisy of the ever so compassionate stars.
I can use my platform to speak out against how people are being treated right now. What the f***? Can you not step on my dress? Your job is to carry my dress.
Others pointed out how Billie Eilish seems not to be aware of the rather obvious hypocrisy about her attacking Donald Trump over his anti-immigration policies, yet last year Billie Eilish was running around Ireland seemingly supporting the Irish anti-immigrant movement.
I am not from here, but it's really cool to come somewhere and like everybody looks exactly like you.
Everybody looks exactly like you, Billy. I'm not sure this girl is the sharpest note on the Dorian scale. Of course, here in Australia, we have the same sort of idiotic pop stars screeching about how our nation, Australia, is on stolen land. Pay the rent. We all need to pay the rent. As yet, I haven't seen any of those pop stars hand over their multi-million-dollar mansions to the local Indigenous tribes either. Hilariously, an LA eviction firm has now offered pro bono legal services to that local tribe to get Eilish evicted from her home, from their land. Quote, Eilish's admission that she lives on stolen land gives the tribe a rightful action for possession as the true owner of the property, the law firm says. Brilliant. Perhaps we could try something similar here with all those preening always was, always will be stolen land celebrities. Hand over your houses first, folks. Join the queue. But it's not all doom and gloom in the world of pop music. This week belongs unequivocally to the one pop star who didn't bother with the Grammys but dominated social media. I mentioned her last week on this show, Nicki Minaj, when she proudly came out in support of Donald Trump.
I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change.
Because of that act of heresy, Trevor Noah, the host at the Grammys, decided to use the Grammys, multi-million audiences and so on, to belittle and demean Nicki Minaj, with the whole woke lynch mob, aren't they disgusting, joining in denigrating and even fat-shaming her.
Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very, important issues. Actually, Nicki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nicki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it. Look at it, baby.
Maybe Nicki should sue as well. Charming stuff. Which just shows how demented, demonic and deranged today's Democrat-obsessed celebrities are. A baying pack of hyenas who will turn on anyone who doesn't share their pathetic political dogmas. Same here in Australia, by the way. But just anyway, who is Nicki Minaj? She's well known for her raunchy rap videos and her curvaceous assets. Here is one of her videos which has had over 1 billion views on YouTube.
Oh, you got my heartbeat running away. Beating like a drum and it's coming your way. Can't you hear that boom, 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 boom?
OK, but Minaj has always been highly critical of the shallowness of Hollywood, once hinting at some very sinister and dark goings-on in Hollywood.
I didn't even want to call the ambulance because I thought, well, if I call an ambulance, it's going to be on TMZ. And I would rather sit there and die. And it made me realize I don't care anymore what anybody got to say. I'ma do me.
Her friend, Joy Villa, another conservative rapper who actually we've had here on Outsiders on Sky News, she came out in support.
I love Nicki. I've always loved Nicki. Those on the inside knew Nicki was secretly conservative. So when she came out, it was like, the Barbs already knew. I love Nicki Minaj.
And since the shameful Grammys, Minaj's popularity has surged. She even now has Donald Trump's Secretary of the Treasury, wait for it, Scott Bessent, appearing in one of her videos. Yes, it truly is a world gone mad, and a pretty funny one at that. Well, the city of Minneapolis in Minnesota has been the centre of the United States for the last few weeks as the fallout continues from the death of 2 people shot by ICE agents. ICE is, of course, the customs officials, the immigration enforcement officials. After withdrawing 700 ICE agents from the city, Donald Trump sat down with NBC to discuss what he has learned from the controversy.
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them, and then I see them ranting and raving out there.
Well, joining me now from Minnesota is John Hinderaker, president of the Center of the American Experiment and Powerline blog. Great to see you, as always, John. Now, do you agree with Donald Trump here? Should his administration have used a softer touch against these protesters, one of whom was armed, who were killed by ICE agents?
Well, honestly, Rowan, I don't think so. I mean, the 2 people who were shot, one of them had resisted arrest, which is a crime punishable by up to 3 years in a federal penitentiary, and she was trying to run down the ICE agent with her car. Okay, she would have been prosecuted for attempted murder if she had lived. And the other one was a guy who repeatedly had fought against ICE agents. Again, that's a crime punishable by 3 years in a federal penitentiary. This is Alex Pretty I'm talking about. And he got into a fight with these, he would kick out taillights on their cars. He would spit on the cars. He got into a fight with these agents while he was wearing a gun, which is unbelievably stupid. And I don't think there's anything that ICE could have done that would somehow mollify people who are engaging in this kind of criminal behavior.
I agree with you wholeheartedly there, John. Now let's move on to the US economy. And the president remains confident that interest rates will be lowered. Here, John, they're going up and up. But anyway, this is in the States. It's only a few days ago that the president nominated Kevin Warsh as his new Federal Reserve chair. So will we see a US interest rate cut, John?
Well, we will see, Rowan. I mean, I'm sure that Warsh is going to be confirmed by the United States Senate. To cut interest rates, he'll have to have a majority on the Federal Reserve's Board of Governors. That's a 7-member board. I think he will have that majority, and I think we will see some interest rate cuts. I don't think they're going to be real dramatic, but we know that President Trump wants lower short-term interest rates, and that's why he put Kevin Warsh in that position. I think in all likelihood, that's what we're going to see.
So I wonder if there's a lesson there, John. Trumpian economics, interest rates go down, mad, crazy, left-wing Labor Australian policy, interest rates go up. We might have to think about that one, John. Now listen, the US and Iran are set to hold talks today in Oman, while the president is also threatening legal action if Iran doesn't agree on a deal on its nuclear program, as well as to stop killing the protesters. John, Trump also said the Iranian leader should be very worried. What's going on?
Well, Rowan, in my opinion, there's not much use in negotiating with the mullahs. I mean, what are they going to give up? They're a grotesquely unpopular tyranny. They're hanging on by their fingernails. I really don't think that the negotiations are going to be productive. I don't see how they can be. But where we're at, Rowan, I think, is that Trump has to do something. He has described a massive armada of American ships heading for Iran. He's told the people of Iran that help is on the way. He's threatened the mullahs if they continue to mow down civilians, which of course they have done. He's got to follow through in some way. He can't be like Barack Obama and set out a red line that he then forgets about when it's violated. He's got to do something.
And John,
at the same time,
Yep. Carry on.
Well, at the same time, I don't think there's any way that Trump is willing to commit U.S. troops to Iran to overthrow Khamenei. And an operation like the one that arrested Maduro in Venezuela wouldn't topple this regime. Iran is already under an immense amount of economic pressure. So what can Trump really do? I think we're looking at airstrikes somewhat like we did before on Iran's nuclear facilities, but broader. And it remains to be seen whether that's going to work. It is actually very hard to overthrow an unpopular tyranny if you're not willing to commit troops to do it. They can stay in power for a long, long time. Look at Cuba, for example.
And John, this goes to the heart of the sort of current controversy tearing apart the American right, which is this idea of, is Trump an isolationist? I've never viewed him as an isolationist. But some in the America First or MAGA crowd say, oh, we shouldn't have anything to do with Iran. It's their problem. Let them stew. But others, rightly, in my opinion, are saying Trump promised to help. It is obscene what the mullahs are doing to women, to protesters, to young people. America must step in. How's that playing out on the right side of politics, this schism, if you like?
Rowan, I think that the truly isolationist element of the American right is very small. I think the vast majority of Trump's supporters are like you and me. The United States needs to play a leading role in the world. And when you have a regime like the mullahs in Iran that have been bitterly hostile to the United States, that have killed American soldiers, that do everything they can to counteract American policies, it is very much in our interest to get rid of them. I think that some people pay too much attention to the isolationist fringe of the Republican Party. I don't think it's large.
I'm glad to hear that, John. And finally, Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping have reportedly held an excellent call, quote, as they discussed an array of issues such as trade, Taiwan, energy, Russia's war in the Ukraine. So, John, the US's relationship with China, it's obviously very important, but it seems the two leaders are very kind of apprehensive, wary towards each other. What do you make of this phone call? And, you know, what is the future for the Trump-Xi relationship, in your opinion?
Well, it's always entertaining to read President Trump's descriptions of these phone calls with foreign leaders because they're always excellent. They're always perfect. They're always great. So Trump goes through this long litany of topics that they discussed in a 2-hour conversation. But then in Chinese state media, they don't talk about most of those topics. They say it was about Taiwan. And President Xi was really laying down the law to Trump on Taiwan. And what's going on there is that the United States recently agreed to sell Taiwan, I think it's $11 billion worth of arms. And obviously the Chinese are unhappy about that. The Chinese very much want to retake Taiwan, and it is very much in American interest and the West's interest that that not happen. And as long as the United States government is committed to defending Taiwan, and I think during the Trump administration at least, that commitment is very clear, the Chinese are not going to act. So I think as to Taiwan, we are going to continue to see the same standoff, the same status quo that we have had now for many years.
And that's certainly good news for us here in Australia. John Hinderaker, always great to chat to you, and we'll speak again soon.